The salt-laden air whips across the boardwalk at Atlantic City, New Jersey, 1952. Carnival barkers' voices compete with the crash of waves and the melodic ding of pinball machines. Children's laughter mingles with the mechanical wheeze of the carousel. A young couple strolls arm in arm past storefronts glowing with promise, their faces illuminated by thousands of incandescent bulbs. This is the story of American boardwalks, pleasure palaces built on wooden planks that once defined summer for generations of Americans. What transformed these magnificent wooden pathways from the height of American leisure to abandoned stretches of weathered lumber? How did these symbols of carefree summers become haunting monuments to a different America? In 1870, Alexander Boardman, a railroad conductor and hotel owner, grew tired of watching Atlantic City's well-heeled tourists struggle through the sand in their Victorian finery. His solution was deceptively simple, a walkway made of wooden boards elevated above the beach. On June 26, 1870, Atlantic City unveiled America's first boardwalk. 8 feet wide and 1 mile long, constructed of wooden planks laid in a herringbone pattern at a cost of $5,000, equivalent to $103,000 today. No one could have predicted that this utilitarian solution would transform into an American cultural phenomenon spanning generations. What began as a practical solution became the backbone of an entertainment empire that would define coastal economies for over a century. The concept spread rapidly. By 1880, Coney Island in New York had constructed its own boardwalk. Ocean City, Maryland followed in 1900, while Rehoboth Beach, Delaware built theirs in 1873. Santa Cruz, California established the West Coast's answer in 1904. Each boardwalk evolved with distinct personalities, yet all shared a common promise: democratic pleasure, available to all social classes for the price of a train ticket. The boardwalk was America's first shared public space that wasn't a park or a government building, explains Oliver Winthrop, historian and author of Planks and Pleasure. The American boardwalk story. It became a social experiment where factory workers and bankers could occupy the same leisure space, something radical for Victorian America. That democratic spirit wasn't accidental. Many early boardwalks were partially funded by railroad companies eager to increase passenger numbers. The Pennsylvania Railroad invested $1.2 million in Atlantic City infrastructure by 1890, recognizing that affordable day trips for working-class Philadelphians meant packed train cars every summer weekend. These wooden walkways became far more than convenient paths for strolling. They evolved into entertainment districts, shopping meccas, and culinary destinations. Atlantic City's boardwalk expanded to 60 feet wide and over 4 miles long, accommodating massive hotels, theaters, and amusement piers extending hundreds of feet into the Atlantic. By 1900, more than 25,000 visitors arrived daily during summer months, yet the early history of American boardwalks carries darker stories. The economic opportunity they represented often came with racial restrictions. Many boardwalk communities operated under Jim Crow-style segregation well into the 1960s. Black Americans were frequently restricted to designated colored beaches and prohibited from many boardwalk establishments. Atlantic City's segregation was so notorious that the historic black newspaper, the Pittsburgh Courier, once described it as the Mississippi of the North. Some say this discriminatory foundation placed a shadow over boardwalks that never truly lifted. In Asbury Park, New Jersey, longtime resident Tabitha Reed remembers stories passed down through generations. My grandmother talked about the invisible line at the casino building that black people couldn't cross after sundown. When they finally let that barrier fall in the 1970s, many white businesses had already fled. Some folks here still believe those years of division cursed the boardwalk. The 1890s through the 1920s marked the first golden age of the American boardwalk. Atlantic City's famous steel pier hosted the world's top entertainers, including John Philip Sousa's band, which performed for crowds exceeding 12,000 people. In 1916, a single summer day brought 250,000 visitors to Coney Island's boardwalk. Santa Cruz constructed its massive casino and plunge in 1907, featuring the largest swimming pool on the West Coast. This era also birthed distinctive boardwalk cuisines. Saltwater taffy, funnel cakes, cotton candy, and the hot dog all became boardwalk staples. In 1916, Nathan Hanricker opened a hot dog stand on Coney Island's boardwalk, selling francs for 5 cents, half the price of his competitors. That humble stand would become Nathan's famous, an American institution. The boardwalk's economic impact was staggering. By 1920, Atlantic City's economy generated $50 million annually, nearly $700 million in today's dollars, employing over 70,000 seasonal workers. Coney Island's amusement area covered 25 acres and employed 40,000 people. The Santa Cruz Boardwalk's Big Dipper roller coaster, built in 1924 at a cost of $50,000, paid for itself in just 2 months. But some believed the rapid growth and commercialization carried spiritual consequences. In 1904, a devastating fire destroyed much of Atlantic City's boardwalk. It was rebuilt within months, only to burn again in 1912. Old-timers whispered of a curse, retribution for constructing pleasure palaces on sacred ground. Similar tales emerged when Santa Cruz's first casino burned in 1906, just a year after opening. These were more than superstitions, explains paranormal researcher Jessica Blackman. Several boardwalks were built near or on former indigenous sites. The Lenape tribe had settlements all along the Jersey Shore before European contact. People reported strange occurrences, lights that couldn't be explained, voices when no one was present. Security guards at closed boardwalk buildings often requested transfers after reporting unexplained phenomena. The Great Depression struck a devastating blow to America's boardwalks. Attendance plummeted as discretionary spending evaporated. Atlantic City lost 10,000 permanent residents between 1930 and 1935. Dozens of hotels fell into foreclosure. Coney Island's famous Dreamland Park closed permanently. Many smaller boardwalks in coastal towns across America were simply abandoned, their wooden structures left to rot in the salt air. Yet the economic catastrophe also democratized the boardwalk experience further. Unable to afford grand European tour or extended resort stays, middle-class Americans turned to affordable pleasures closer to home. Boardwalk owners slashed prices to attract customers. In Atlantic City, the famous rolling carriages pushed by attendants that had once been the domain of the wealthy now charged just 25 cents for a half-hour ride. World War II brought renewed prosperity as defense industry workers with newfound income sought escape from wartime anxiety. Military personnel on leave flooded coastal destinations for fleeting moments of normalcy. Atlantic City's hotels were requisitioned as military hospitals and training facilities, bringing 40,000 service members to the city. The famous steel pier continued operating, advertising itself as a patriotic distraction from wartime worries. But the post-war era brought profound changes that would ultimately threaten the boardwalk's dominance in American leisure. The explosive growth of suburbia, fueled by the GI Bill and federally subsidized mortgages, shifted population patterns. The emerging interstate highway system made previously remote destinations accessible. Air conditioning transformed indoor entertainment. Television kept families home. The boardwalk was built for a specific moment in American history, explains sociologist Martin Kramer. It served a population that traveled by train, lacked home entertainment options, and lived without air conditioning. When all three changed simultaneously in the 1950s, the boardwalk's purpose was fundamentally challenged. Still, the 1950s and early 1960s represented a second golden age for many boardwalks. Atlantic City drew 16 million visitors annually during this period. The Santa Cruz Boardwalk expanded its offerings with new rides and attractions. Ocean City, Maryland grew from a small resort town to a major destination. This prosperity concealed the serious threats emerging in American leisure habits. Las Vegas rose as a competitor for adult entertainment dollars. Walt Disney opened Disneyland in 1955, establishing a new standard for family amusement. Florida's growth as a vacation destination lured visitors away from traditional Mid-Atlantic and New England resorts. The civil rights movement of the 1960s finally dismantled legal segregation at America's boardwalks, but the transition proved challenging for many communities. Atlantic City experienced racial unrest in 1964 when demonstrations against discriminatory hiring practices at boardwalk businesses led to confrontations. Similar tensions played out in other boardwalk communities, leaving lasting social divisions. By the late 1960s, many historic boardwalks faced serious decline. Asbury Park, New Jersey, once Bruce Springsteen's storied stomping ground, saw property values plummet as middle-class visitors abandoned the city. Atlantic City's once grand hotels grew decrepit as occupancy rates fell below 50%. Coney Island became notorious for crime rather than family entertainment. The economic downturn of the 1970s accelerated the decline. Stagflation, energy crises, and urban disinvestment hit boardwalk communities particularly hard. Many were left with aging infrastructure, declining tax bases, and increasing social problems. Between 1970 and 1980, Atlantic City's permanent population dropped from 47,859 to 40,199, a decline of 16% in just one decade. Some boardwalk communities sought reinvention. On May 26, 1978, Resorts International opened as Atlantic City's first legal casino following New Jersey's gambling referendum. Within 24 hours, 15,000 visitors had passed through its doors. Casino gambling promised economic salvation, new jobs, increased visitation, and urban revitalization. The initial results appeared promising. Atlantic City's gaming revenues reached $1.5 billion by 1985. Casino employment peaked at 49,123 jobs in 1997. New hotel construction transformed the skyline, but the casino era brought mixed results for the historic boardwalk. While visitation increased, many tourists never ventured beyond the gaming floors. Traditional boardwalk businesses struggled as casino resorts became self-contained entertainment environments. Other communities pursued different revitalization strategies. Santa Cruz emphasized its historic character, restoring vintage rides and maintaining family-friendly policies. Virginia Beach invested $25 million in boardwalk improvements in 1988, adding public art and performance spaces. Ocean City, Maryland expanded its convention facilities to attract year-round business. These varied approaches yielded uneven results. Some boardwalks stabilized or even thrived by adapting to changing consumer preferences. Others continued their downward spiral despite reinvestment. Many smaller boardwalks disappeared entirely, victims of maintenance costs, changing vacation patterns, and coastal storms. Hurricane Sandy in 2012 delivered a devastating blow to many East Coast boardwalks. The storm destroyed Seaside Heights Casino Pier and its famous Jet Star roller coaster, which became an iconic image of the hurricane's destruction as it sat partially submerged in the Atlantic. New York City's historic Rockaway Beach Boardwalk suffered similar damage. In total, the storm caused $70 billion in damages across the region. The rebuilding efforts that followed revealed changing attitudes toward coastal development. Many communities replaced wooden boardwalks with concrete or composite materials, more durable but less authentic. Environmental regulations complicated reconstruction. Rising insurance costs forced difficult economic calculations. Today's boardwalk landscape reflects these tumultuous histories. Some, like the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk and Navy Pier in Chicago, have successfully reinvented themselves as modern entertainment destinations. Others, like Atlantic City, struggled despite decades of reinvestment attempts. Many exist only in photographs and memories. The American boardwalk represents something deeper than just a place to stroll or ride a roller coaster, says cultural anthropologist Rebecca Tanner. It embodied democratic recreation, the idea that pleasure wasn't just for the wealthy. That architectural and cultural legacy deserves preservation even as leisure patterns evolve. The physical remnants of historic boardwalks can still be found scattered across America. Atlantic City's boardwalk remains the longest in the world at 5.5 miles, though much of it fronts vacant lots where grand hotels once stood. The Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk's 1911 Louvre carousel still spins, its hand-carved horses among the oldest operating carousel animals in America. Coney Island's Cyclone roller coaster, built in 1927, continues thrilling riders nearly a century after opening. Beyond these physical structures lie complex legacies. The boardwalk birthed entertainment forms that transformed American culture: the amusement park, the beauty pageant, the carnival midway. It democratized leisure at a pivotal moment in the nation's development. It created economic opportunity for countless immigrants and working-class Americans. Yet the boardwalk's decline also represents profound American shifts, from urban to suburban, from public to private space, from shared community experiences to individualized entertainment. The abandoned pavilions and weatherbeat planks tell a story about changing priorities and values. Some insist the decline carries supernatural dimensions. Security guards at closed Atlantic City casinos report elevators moving between floors with no passengers. Maintenance workers at Asbury Park's convention hall describe unexplained cold spots and voices in empty rooms. Nighttime visitors to Coney Island's abandoned shore theater claim to see figures moving past darkened windows. These buildings held so much emotion, first loves, honeymoons, family vacations, explains paranormal investigator Martin Winters. Some energy remains even after the crowds depart. I've recorded unexplained phenomena in every major historic boardwalk I've studied. Perhaps the most haunting aspect is what the boardwalk represented in American life, a democratic promise of leisure accessible to all classes. As wealth inequality grows and public spaces privatize, that promise feels increasingly distant. The abandoned pavilions along America's shores serve as monuments to a different relationship between commerce, community, and shared experience. Can the American boardwalk be saved? The answer varies by location and definition of saved. Some historic boardwalks have successfully adapted to contemporary tourism by emphasizing their vintage character. Others have incorporated modern entertainment while maintaining traditional architecture. A few have yielded to economic reality and reimagined themselves entirely. The Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk represents one successful adaptation model. By maintaining its historic rides while carefully adding contemporary attractions, it draws 3 million visitors annually. Its 1924 Giant Dipper roller coaster and 1911 Loof Carousel are both designated National Historic Landmarks. The boardwalk remains free to enter, with visitors paying only for rides and attractions they choose. Our success comes from honoring tradition while embracing change, explains Boardwalk Operations Director Thomas Wilson. We've never abandoned our core identity as a place where families of all backgrounds can enjoy themselves affordably. Ocean City, Maryland demonstrates another approach. Its 3-mile boardwalk combines historic attractions like Trimper's Rides, operating since 1893, with modern hotels and restaurants. The city hosts over 8 million visitors annually, generating $160 million in tax revenue. Unlike Atlantic City, Ocean City prohibited casino gambling, maintaining its family-friendly identity. Atlantic City's evolution offers more cautionary lessons. Despite legalizing gambling in 1978, the city has struggled with persistent poverty and population decline. Casino revenue peaked at $5.2 billion in 2006, before falling to $2.56 billion in 2015 as competition from neighboring states intensified. 5 casinos closed between 2014 and 2016, eliminating 11,000 jobs. The city's unemployment rate reached 13.8% in 2016, more than double the national average. Atlantic City's mistake was believing casinos alone would solve systemic problems, argues urban planner Jennifer Morris. They neglected basic infrastructure, public safety, and quality of life issues that drive sustainable development. The boardwalk became an afterthought rather than the centerpiece. Recent years have brought selective recovery. Hard Rock and Ocean Casino Resort reopened previously shuttered properties in 2018. The state invested $8.7 million in boardwalk improvements. New non-gaming attractions like the observation wheel at Steel Pier have diversified entertainment options, but Atlantic City's permanent population continues declining, reaching 38,497 in 2020, roughly half its 1930 peak. Smaller boardwalks face different challenges. Many lack the resources for major reinvestment or the market size to support year-round operations. Coastal storms represent existential threats, with rebuilding costs often exceeding available insurance or public funding. Environmental regulations increasingly restrict oceanfront development, particularly as sea levels rise. Climate change presents perhaps the most serious long-term threat to America's remaining boardwalks. Sea level rise projections suggest many coastal boardwalks may become unsustainable within decades. The Union of Concerned Scientists estimates that by 2045, chronic flooding will threaten $135 billion worth of coastal real estate. Boardwalk communities must contemplate expensive adaptation measures or planned retreats from vulnerable shorelines. the physical threat extends beyond flooding. Increased hurricane intensity threatens structures built for gentler conditions. Rising temperatures may extend traditional summer seasons, but also bring dangerous heat waves that discourage outdoor activities. Changing precipitation patterns affect maintenance schedules and visitor patterns. Some communities have begun incorporating climate resilience into boardwalk planning. Virginia Beach's $58 million renovation included a seawall disguised as terraced seating. Atlantic City elevated portions of its boardwalk while incorporating storm water management features. New York City's post-Sandy reconstruction of the Rockaway Beach Boardwalk included concrete support structures designed to withstand future storms. These adaptations come with significant costs. Rebuilding Ocean City's inlet parking lot bulkhead with sea level rise accommodations cost $6.5 million in 2018. Atlantic City's two-block boardwalk elevation project required $3.4 million. Such investments may prove prohibitive for smaller communities without significant tourism tax bases. Beyond physical threats lie changing American leisure patterns. Contemporary visitors expect different experiences than previous generations. Wi-Fi access, interactive exhibits, and Instagram-worthy photo opportunities have become essential amenities. Traditional boardwalk attractions compete with smartphones for attention spans. Younger demographics seek authentic experiences rather than commercial amusements. Some boardwalks have embraced these shifts. The Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk developed a mobile app allowing visitors to purchase ride tickets, check wait times, and find attractions. Wildwood, New Jersey, added dedicated spaces for social media photos. Virginia Beach incorporated public art installations designed specifically for photography. The successful boardwalk of the future will balance nostalgia with innovation, predicts tourism consultant Rachel Martinez. People still crave the emotional connection to traditional experiences, the carousel ride, the saltwater taffy, the ocean view, but they also expect contemporary conveniences and novel experiences. Economic factors further complicate the boardwalk's future. Traditional boardwalk businesses face intense competition from online retail and entertainment. Property values in coastal communities have skyrocketed, pricing out middle-class visitors who once formed the boardwalk's core audience. Labor costs have increased while seasonal worker availability has decreased. The COVID-19 pandemic delivered another significant blow. Boardwalk communities suffered disproportionately during lockdowns and travel restrictions. Atlantic City Casino revenue fell 80% in April 2020 compared to the previous year. Santa Cruz County lost 7,900 leisure and hospitality jobs, nearly half the sector's employment, between February and April 2020. Many smaller boardwalk businesses closed permanently. Recovery has proceeded unevenly. Domestic travel rebounded more quickly than international tourism. Drive-to destinations recovered faster than those reliant on air travel. Outdoor attractions became more attractive to pandemic-weary visitors. These patterns temporarily benefited some boardwalk communities while challenging others. The most successful post-pandemic boardwalks have emphasized their open-air advantages while incorporating health and safety measures. Ocean City, Maryland, saw record visitor numbers in summer 2021 as travelers sought outdoor recreation options. The Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk implemented reservation systems and capacity controls that have since become permanent features, improving visitor experiences. What remains clear is that the American boardwalk, as both physical structure and cultural concept, stands at a crossroads. The wooden pathways that once defined coastal recreation must adapt to environmental, economic, and social changes while preserving the democratic spirit that made them national treasures. Some communities have embraced this challenge by reimagining the boardwalk's purpose. Asbury Park, New Jersey, once the poster child for urban decay, has experienced remarkable revitalization. Property values have increased 300% since 2000 as developers restored historic buildings and added contemporary amenities. The city's boardwalk now hosts yoga classes, farmers markets, and art installations alongside traditional amusements. We're honoring the boardwalk's history while creating new traditions, explains Asbury Park City Councilwoman Teresa Robinson. The boardwalk was always about community gathering. We've just expanded what that means for today's visitors. Other communities focus on environmental sustainability. Long Beach, New York replaced its hurricane-damaged wooden boardwalk with a sustainable structure using recycled plastic lumber made from 3 million reclaimed plastic bottles. The Virginia Beach Boardwalk earned Clean Marina certification for its environmental management practices. These initiatives appeal to environmentally conscious visitors while reducing long-term maintenance costs. Educational components have also emerged as revitalization strategies. The Atlantic City Historical Museum preserves artifacts and photographs from the boardwalk's golden age. The Coney Island History Project conducts oral history interviews with longtime residents and businesses. These efforts transform boardwalks from mere entertainment venues into living museums celebrating coastal heritage. Despite these innovations, fundamental questions remain about the American boardwalk's future. Can these historic structures adapt to climate realities without losing their essential character? Will economic pressures continue pushing boardwalk businesses toward higher-end experiences that exclude middle and working-class visitors? Can digital natives find meaningful connection in analog amusements? The answers vary by location and perspective. Some see the boardwalk as a resilient American institution that will continue evolving as it has for 150 years. Others view current boardwalks as living museums, preserved examples of a leisure form whose time has largely passed. Still others believe the boardwalk's true legacy lies in the democratic values it embodies rather than specific physical structures. The American boardwalk was never just wood and nails, reflects historian Oliver Winthrop. It represented a radical idea that leisure wasn't just for the wealthy, that pleasure could be democratic, that strangers could share joyful experiences across class divisions. That idea remains powerful even as its physical manifestation changes. Perhaps this explains the boardwalk's persistent grip on American imagination. These wooden pathways feature prominently in literature, film, music, and art. Bruce Springsteen's evocative boardwalk imagery, the climactic scene in Big, where Tom Hanks and Elizabeth Perkins reconnect at the Santa Monica Pier, HBO's Boardwalk Empire series set in Prohibition-era Atlantic City, all reflect the boardwalk's symbolic power in American storytelling. This cultural resonance extends beyond nostalgia. The boardwalk represents tensions central to American identity, between natural landscape and human engineering, between democratic ideals and commercial realities, between community tradition and individual consumption. As Americans navigate these same tensions in contemporary society, the boardwalk serves as both historical reference point and imaginative space for exploring possible futures. Visitors to today's boardwalks encounter these layered meanings. A family riding the 1908 carousel at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk experiences something their great-grandparents might have enjoyed in nearly identical form. Couples strolling Atlantic City's famous boards walk the same path as generations before them, even as the surrounding architecture has transformed. These connections across time create powerful emotional responses that transcend simple entertainment. Security guard Omar Williams, who has patrolled Atlantic City's boardwalk for 22 years, describes mysterious experiences that defy explanation. Sometimes at dawn, when the boardwalk is empty, I hear music from the old days, big band sounds coming from buildings that have been empty for decades. Other guards have heard it too. We don't talk about it much, but we all know this place holds memories that don't easily fade. Similar stories emerge from other historic boardwalks. Maintenance workers at Santa Cruz describe children's laughter echoing through empty corridors before opening hours. Night watchmen at Coney Island report carousel music playing from unpowered machinery. Security camera footage from Virginia Beach captured unexplained orbs of light moving in formation above the boardwalk at 3:17 a.m. on 3 consecutive summer nights in 2019. These aren't just ghost stories, insists paranormal researcher Jessica Blackman. They represent emotional imprints, moments of such intense joy that something remains in the physical space. The boardwalk generated millions of peak experiences over generations. Some essence of that collective emotion persists. Whether one believes in supernatural explanations or views such tales as cultural metaphors, they reflect the boardwalk's profound impact on American emotional life. Few built environments generate such intense nostalgic connection or inspire such colorful folklore. The boardwalk's ability to evoke powerful responses speaks to its significance beyond mere recreation. This emotional resonance may ultimately prove the boardwalk's most valuable asset in an era of digital distraction and virtual experiences. As Americans increasingly seek authentic connections and meaningful experiences, the boardwalk offers something increasingly rare, a physical space where multiple generations can share similar experiences across time. My grandmother rode this carousel in 1935, says Teresa Ramirez, watching her 6-year-old daughter circle on the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk's historic Louvre carousel. My mother rode it in 1962. I rode it in 1988. Now my daughter rides it in 2022. How many experiences connect 4 generations that directly? This continuity provides powerful counterpoint to the acceleration and disruption characterizing modern life. In a culture where technologies, entertainment forms, and social norms transform rapidly, the boardwalk offers rare stability, a place where change occurs gradually and within recognizable patterns. Yet this continuity coexists with serious threats. Rising sea levels may force difficult choices about historic preservation versus retreat from vulnerable coastlines. Economic pressures continue challenging affordable access. Digital entertainment competes for limited attention spans and leisure dollars. The boardwalk's future likely lies in embracing its distinctive qualities rather than competing directly with contemporary entertainment forms. Unlike theme parks with controlled environments and predictable experiences, boardwalks offer serendipity, unexpected encounters, unstructured exploration, and natural beauty alongside human amusements. The boardwalk's greatest strength is its liminality. It exists between city and nature, between structure and freedom, between commerce and public space, explains urban sociologist Sarah Chen. That in-between quality creates psychological openness to experience that highly controlled environments cannot replicate. This quality appears increasingly valuable as Americans seek escape from algorithm-driven recommendations and curated experiences. The boardwalk's blend of natural beauty, historic architecture, and simple pleasures offers authentic alternatives to digital life without rejecting modernity entirely. Some communities have recognized this potential by intentionally preserving their boardwalk's distinctive character while selectively incorporating contemporary elements. Ocean City, Maryland maintains its traditional wooden boards and Trimper's historic amusements while adding modern restaurants and hotels at appropriate scales. Santa Cruz preserves its landmark rides while updating food offerings and adding digital conveniences like mobile ordering. Other communities pursue more dramatic reinvention. The Chicago Navy Pier, technically a pier rather than a boardwalk but sharing similar functions, completed a $100 million renovation in 2016, emphasizing public spaces, cultural programming, and sustainability features. The project increased visitorship from 8.7 million in 2015 to 9.3 million in 2018. Atlantic City continues seeking its post-casino identity. Recent initiatives include the Orange Loop, a district of restaurants, bars, and music venues near the boardwalk, named for the Orange properties on the Monopoly board, which was based on Atlantic City. New non-gaming attractions like the Observation Wheel at Steel Pier and the Showboat Hotel's $100 million indoor water park aim to diversify entertainment options beyond gambling. These varied approaches reflect different interpretations of the boardwalk's essential purpose and value. Is it primarily a historic artifact worthy of preservation, an economic engine for coastal communities? A democratic public space, an entertainment district, the most successful revitalization efforts recognize that it must function as all simultaneously, honoring history while creating new economic opportunities and maintaining public access. The boardwalk's democratic character faces particular challenges in contemporary America. As coastal property values skyrocket, communities struggle to maintain economic diversity. Hotel rooms that once accommodated working-class vacationers now command premium prices beyond middle-class budgets. Food and entertainment costs have risen faster than wages for many Americans. Some communities have implemented policies to preserve accessibility. The Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk maintains free entry, allowing visitors to enjoy the oceanfront atmosphere without purchasing ride tickets. Virginia Beach provides extensive public facilities alongside commercial enterprises. Ocean City, Maryland offers free activities and entertainment throughout the summer season. The moment we lose economic diversity on the boardwalk, we lose its soul, argues community activist Richard Torres. The boardwalk's magic comes from different people sharing the same space and experiences. If it becomes an exclusive enclave, that magic disappears. Climate adaptation represents another crucial challenge. The Union of Concerned Scientists projects that by 2045, Atlantic City could experience flooding that affects 11% of the city's properties at least 26 times annually. Similar projections exist for other coastal communities. These realities require difficult decisions about infrastructure investment, retreat strategies, and preservation priorities. Some communities have begun implementing adaptive approaches. After Hurricane Sandy, New York City rebuilt the Rockaway Beach Boardwalk with concrete and steel designed to serve as protective infrastructure while maintaining recreational functions. Virginia Beach incorporated flood mitigation features into its boardwalk design. These hybrid approaches recognize that future boardwalks must serve multiple purposes: recreation, flood protection, and community gathering to justify their costs. The boardwalk's future may ultimately depend on reimagining its fundamental purpose. Rather than viewing these structures primarily as tourist attractions or commercial districts, communities increasingly recognize their value as resilient infrastructure, cultural heritage sites, and democratic public spaces that happen to include entertainment options. This expanded understanding allows for more creative and sustainable approaches to preservation and adaptation. A boardwalk valued solely for generating tourism revenue becomes expendable when visitor patterns change. A boardwalk valued as cultural heritage, community gathering space, protective infrastructure, and economic asset justifies more substantial investment and creative preservation strategies. Perhaps this explains why some boardwalks thrive while others struggle despite similar challenges. The most resilient examples maintain clear connections to their historical identity while evolving to meet contemporary needs. They preserve accessibility across economic classes. They balance commercial interests with public access. They adapt to environmental realities without surrendering their essential character. The American boardwalk has always been adaptable, notes historian Rebecca Tanner. These structures survived the Great Depression, 2 world wars, social upheaval, and technological revolution. They've reinvented themselves repeatedly while maintaining core traditions. That adaptability suggests they'll find new relevance in our rapidly changing world. This adaptability extends beyond physical structures to the boardwalk as cultural concept. Even as specific wooden pathways may yield to climate realities or economic pressures, the idea of the boardwalk, a democratic space where nature and culture, commerce and community, tradition and innovation converge, continues evolving in American imagination and practice. New developments like New York City's High Line, an elevated linear park built on a former railroad spur, share the boardwalk's conceptual DNA while reimagining its form for contemporary urban contexts. Chicago's successful Navy Pier renovation demonstrates how historic maritime structures can adapt to changing leisure patterns while maintaining public access. These examples suggest the boardwalk concept transcends specific structures or locations. As summer twilight descends on the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk in 2023, the 1911 Louvre Carousel spins in much the same way it has for over a century. Children reach for brass rings just as their grandparents did. The scent of caramel corn mingles with salt air. The rhythmic crash of waves provides percussion for carousel music. In this moment, past and present converge in an experience simultaneously timeless and ephemeral. So whatever happened to American boardwalks, the answer depends entirely on perspective. Some see tragic decline from a golden age of public leisure. Others recognize successful adaptation to changing social and environmental realities. Still others discern haunting remnants of a leisure form whose time has largely passed. Perhaps all are simultaneously true. The wooden pathways that once defined American coastal recreation have weathered literal and figurative storms. Many have vanished entirely. Others persist as shadows of their former glory. A few thrive through continuous reinvention. All have left indelible imprints on American culture, leisure patterns, and collective memory. As coastal communities face accelerating environmental challenges and economic pressures, the boardwalk's future remains unwritten. Its survival will require creative adaptation, substantial investment, and renewed commitment to democratic access. Whether these iconic structures persist as physical entities or transform into new forms carrying similar cultural DNA depends on choices made in coming decades. What remains certain is the boardwalk's enduring place in American cultural memory, not just as entertainment venue, but as democratic promise. In a nation increasingly divided by wealth, politics, and social barriers, the boardwalk's legacy of shared public pleasure across social boundaries offers valuable reminder of alternate possibilities. That legacy may ultimately prove more durable than any physical structure, regardless of how well it's built or how carefully it's preserved.